Alright guys, I'm going to give you all just a basic rundown of how we're going to use what we call elimination in order to solve a system. So already what we've done is we've used substitution, and for substitution we had to have at least one variable. It could be y equals, could be x equals, doesn't matter which one. Now we're going to use something called elimination, and we're still going to solve uh, solve the equations to get x equals and get y equals, and have our actual two answers. It's just going to be a different way of doing that. And it all goes around elimination. How you would think about solving an equation is opposites are going to eliminate. The same way that we use a plus and a minus to eliminate something from an equation, we're going to use that same idea here. Now this is a little bit weird because we're going to be using two equations and we're going to be combining those two equations. Here's what I mean. If I take this first equation and the second equation, I add them together. So like you know, if you set up and did addition going up and down, x plus x, that's two x's. Now here, this is what I'm talking about eliminating. I have a y and a y, one's positive, one's negative, positive, negative. Those two are going to eliminate one another. And now there isn't a y here. I continue 6 plus 2, okay, that's 8. Alright, see, so now I can simply divide there. And there's the first part of my answer, x is 4. Now I'll have to go back, take this information, and go back to my original equations and say, alright, if I have x plus y equals 2, I know that x is 4, plus y equals 2. So I went back, and where there was an x, I've replaced that with a 4. Now I can figure out what that y value is. Solve, eliminate. 2 minus 4 is going to be negative 2. So there are the two parts of my answer. So again, this is different from substitution. I don't have to have y equals or x equals something to start. I just have to have my x's and y's lined up. And once they're lined up, I can just go through, eliminate one, if I can combine opposite signs. So for example, same thing here with this next one. I've got a positive x and a negative x. If I combine these two equations up and down, then I should be able to eliminate. Negatives, negative and positive eliminate. These two y's will add up, so that's 2y. And 6 and 2 will add up, and that's 8. See, so the idea is, again, this was eliminated. Now there's just a y. Okay, and now my y value is 4. And again, you would take this information and go back. Now, no, it doesn't matter which equation you use. I could take this 4 and put it into either of these. I'm going to pick the one without the negative. So I'm going to use x plus y equals 6, and use that information to come up with, solve my x value. And this a lot of times is faster. Normally, if you were going to try to substitute, then you would have to take this and go, okay, I'm going to solve this for x, or I'm going to solve this for y, solve for y or solve for x. Then you'd be able to substitute in, and then, but looking at it, okay, y is gone, there's only x, divide, you're already to part of your answer. Okay, and it doesn't matter if there are different numbers there. Obviously, these are two simple examples. So looking at it here, you're still looking for two variables that will eliminate each other. I'm just looking for opposites. I'm looking for a positive and a negative. Here, this 2, that's a positive, that's a negative, or a minus. And if I were to combine those, then I would have an elimination. Okay? I'm going to keep with the theme of blue here. So these two can eliminate each other. That's a positive. I'm going to combine these equations and say, all right, that's going to eliminate. If I combine these two, continue, that would be a 5. 3y's plus 2y's is 5y's. 6 plus 4, equal sign carries down. 10, and again, now I can quickly go in and say, all right, that's divide, and that's a 2. Y value is 2. Now, you will, again, have to take that information and go back in and say, okay, if my Y value is 2, then what's the X value? So looking back, I'm going to choose the equation without any negatives again. X, 2x plus 3y. Now again, instead of writing out that y, I know what y is, and I'm going to substitute that value into here. That's where my y was. Equals 6. Now this is going to be solving 2x plus 6 equals 6, and you'll be able to get a solution for x from here. I'll step through that just briefly so that you can have a complete answer. Eliminate the 6. 6 minus 6, so that's 0, which makes this really easy, because it doesn't matter what I do, I'm still going to get an x value of 0 here. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit. Can't. Okay, so I've got my other, there's my other value. So I have x is 0, y is 2. All right, so what I've shown you is that if you have two equations and they're set to where you have two parts that can eliminate, you can combine those equations and eliminate that one part in order to make solving simpler. And each of these I have a pair already made that you can go through and use to eliminate. Now obviously you're not always going to have a nice neat little pair of numbers. So for example, here, a 1x and a 2x, those would not eliminate if I combine these equations. A 2y and a 2y, those would not eliminate if I combine these equations. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to change this equation, the second one here, and I'm going to change everything. I'm going to multiply all of this and distribute with a -1. Right, and I'm going to rewrite that. This first one I'm not going to change right now. X plus 2y equals 6. If I change this sign, multiply with a -1, okay, there's a -2x. Multiply with a -1, okay, -2y. Multiply with a -1, -2. Again, hopefully you see now what I've done is I've changed this so that I can actually do an elimination. Okay, so I had to make a change here before that could happen. Now, combine them, add up the two equations. 1 plus -2 would be -1. Eliminates. Combine, that would be 4. And you could very easily figure out what x is from there. Okay, this is very different from substitution. Some people find it more difficult. But a lot of people like it a lot more because it's faster. Now it's up to you. Answer this question over here. Remember, you might not have to change the sign. You might have to change the actual number here. Okay? All right. There you go, guys.